we're live.
Okay.
So we want to say good afternoon, me from here in Nigeria, Olayomi Koiki from the other side. I am in location 9, and that is Olayomi Koiki's language, location 9, and also Izu, that is Mazen Amdekano's language.
Okay.
So, so before you abuse any of us, before you abuse me, or before you go yab or Olayomi Koiki, let me just quickly remind you that the last time Atiku came back from abroad, it was Tinubu that went to receive him at the airport. And at the last check, the last tourist that went to visit Tinubu in London is Ibiokunle Amosun.
I just saw that right now.
Oh, you saw it?
I just saw it right now. I'm like, okay,
great.
Yeah, London Mecca.
Meanwhile, Amosun was the biggest rival to Tinubu. I mean, the biggest political rival at the last election, because Amosun wanted somebody to succeed him.
I remember.
And Tinubu wanted another person. So they gave the party ticket to another person, who is now the governor. Amosun formed another party called APM to field his own candidates. So Amosun rivaled his own party against Tinubu. But the latest tourist I went to visit Tinubu today in London is Amosun.
Quite interesting.
So, this is just to say, before anybody go yab Olayomi Koiki or yab me, just remember this and other instances you can remember. But this is just to say good afternoon, everybody. We are discussing the topic Yoruba Nation, Revolution Now, and 2023. And we are going to make this as interactive and engaging as possible. So keep the comments coming, your questions and everything. But let me start by setting the tone. I just want to ask Olayomi Koiki, the spokesperson to Oloye Sunday Adeyemo, aka Sunday Igboho. First, before you came to Nigeria, you started in London, doing some live broadcasts and talking about, this is what is going to happen. We are coming to Nigeria. We must achieve it now. I mean, you had expectations before you came in, apparently. Now, before you came in, what were the expectations? When you came in, what were the things you met different from your expectation? And what are the lessons that you feel, okay, these are the things we need to begin to tweak from here? Let's start it with that.
Well, thank you very much once again. I would say my colleague, apart from being a media and a journalist as well, the only difference is, people say we are not one. I always say it doesn't matter. Media will always be media, and I do appreciate the good work that you're doing back. I will use the phrase Nigeria so that we do not confuse our audience this afternoon. But as much as I call it Location 9, and I'll give you the reason why it's called Location 9, which is another big brother in the media that gave us that link of why so many people are using Location 9. Nobody even knew the genesis of where Location 9 started, but there's an uncle called Frank Bello that giving us the background to that, but I will explain that later. Once again, I do appreciate this time that we're going to be engaging, interacting with your audience around the globe, because I could see that you're also one individual that have done so much. When we talk about humanity, using our platform to engage people, it's not an easy task. What are my expectations? I'm frequent to Nigeria. Let us remember that in the first instance. You did talk about APN and APC in Ogun State. And to be honest with you, when I came into as an observer during the last general election, I arrived into the country just about 72 hours before that election, until we woke up in the middle of the night. Some of us were awake, but people were waking up to realize that the election has been postponed, for whatever reason. But I did my electoral observation for the governorship in Ogun State, and we almost got lynched at some time. But so that means, my expectation in Nigeria is somebody that is frequent, in Nigeria, and I do know, there's certain condition of things since I've been coming home in the last since 2015. So I'm not somebody expecting too much when I was coming back again in January, which we might discuss during this interactive section. But again, those expectation is not different from part of what we see on your platform that you talk about, we read on the news. And the beauty of what we are doing today is we do not need to literally have those big gigantic
wow.
So that means at the press of a button in 21st century, I could easily pick up what is happening in the remote area of Nasarawa State. And this is part of why we say, the tech, it's something that we cannot joke with in 21st century.
All right. Actually, thank you so much. But what I meant is that, when you wanted to come in to add effort or action to the voice about Yoruba nation,
Oh, yes.
you must have expectations like, okay, this Yoruba nation thing that I'm going for in Nigeria, I expect that this is how it will go. This is how it will go. But when you eventually came in,
how did it all went through?
Did it play out according to the expectations and plans?
All right. Thanks very much for bringing that back on. You're quite right. I was so eager when we started the movement last year, to get into Nigeria as quickly as I can. But there's this fear in the minds of millions of Yorubas that were kind of like, because somebody of my as a frontier of this movement, they were a bit worried. So that means, my going to Nigeria, which I planned. Nobody knew when I was going to be in Nigeria. I had my ticket months ahead before I arrived into the country. But those expectation was, let me come in and join the other comrades that are on ground. And who are the comrades? People asking for self-determination. I mean, this is a peaceful movement. Let us also continue to remind a lot of our listeners and audience, it has never been violent and it's not violent. So that means, according to the United Nations Charter and the African Union Charter, yes, it is not under our constitution, as we know, which again, the 1999 constitution, as far as I know, is a fraudulent constitution. We can come into that discussion later. But the most important thing is, what are my expectations arriving into the country, join the movement, the campaign, the conversation and the intrigues, because quite a lot, happened, for 6 months while I was in Nigeria, during those period of time. But one thing is, I arrived at the very crucial time when our father, Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igbowo, I call him the Imole Yoruba, Imole Go Yoruba, already gave Wakilu 7 days notice, to evict that particular axis of Ibarapa where there was atrocity happening. So I arrived, and under 24 hours, I was already in the front of the a kind of something I've never witnessed, arriving into that axis of that Ibarapa on Friday. It was a Friday. I got to Ibadan on Thursday. So I was kind of, wow, what is it going to look like? What are we going to meet arriving there? I could see the energy in millions of Nigerians, or we say millions of the Yoruba that have been oppressed in that particular axis of Ibarapa, Okeogun area. And, we'll probably discuss more as we go along. But those expectations were not something I would say I wanted everything to go smooth as I was coming into the country. I knew there would be a threat. I knew there would be this fear in the minds of millions of Yoruba that saw me on the very first day on the podium with Chief Sunday Igbowo, right in that particular event. And they were like, wow, it's not true that Koiki is right there. And those that knew the kind of spirit I have were like, yes, we told you the lion would definitely arrive into Nigeria. And I did.
That's a great one. But as part of talking about part of the expectations, did you expect that attack that happened at the residence of Oloye Sunday Igboho? Did you expect such an attack?
Well, one thing you've got to remember is before the attack, there've always been an attack. Before that attack, there've always been an attack. And what do I mean by that? I mean,
signs.
Oh yes, I mean we've seen attack coming through from different areas. When you talk about the media attack, we saw that happening. We saw attack happening prior to that. When you look at what happened, at the Guru Maharaji just in February, so you could see that the attack has always been coming through prior to his house being invaded, assassination attempt on his life, and those the resident and animals, because we love animals in UK, and it's a shame that animals were also killed and taken away. I mean, if you look at what is happening in Afghanistan, there were animals that were brought back to UK. That tells you that we do not joke with animals, in the United Kingdom. But in terms of, again, the expectation, do we know if the government was going to put a kind of attack on us? Like I said, those indexes were already there. We saw that in February. They denied it as at the time, and we thought, okay, even though there was evidence based, because we saw that video evidence of where Chief took out his clothes, we saw the evidence base of the military vehicle and the DSS, and that happened. There were few more attacked as well. If you remember, people were sent to his house. We were able to apprehend them and give them to the authority. So the question at the back of those outside will be, when is the serious attack going to happen? Then there was another attack, again, in the house. But all these were, how long will this attack continue? And can this attack be sustainable? But at the end of the day, we saw what happened then in July 1st. But since January, after Chief went to Okiogun, you could tell that a lot of, would-to-be, whether the government, some few politicians were not really pleased with that incident of the quick notice given to, most especially, we say it as it is, the Fulanis that have oppressed a lot of us for a very long time. We're not pleased with Chief Sunday, and he has become a major target since then.
Okay, coming to that, there was a time, part of the sloganeering included that 2023 would not happen. Yes, whether that was said metaphorically or figuratively or literally. I mean, at this stage, are you still on that phrase? Does it look like 2023 will still happen, or does it look like, give or take, it will still not happen?
Well, for those dreaming that 2023 is going to happen, you might have to dream a very, very long time, because apart from what I have stated, and I still stand on that, since when we started, that 2023, it's not going to happen in Nigeria. A lot of people might say, how do you expect to do that? When you say 2023 is not going to happen. I mean, you can't just, stay in UK and declare that 2023 election is not going to happen. But I guess by now, 9 months after we started, I started, saying that, we are not going to have 2023 election, you can see, the indexes. And let me just give you the quick one that I'm sure a lot of people have listened to. Let's go straight and look at what, the Yoruba social cultural group, the acting leader, Chief Ayo Adebanjo said in last 48 hours, that there's already a kind of a danger that every Nigerian should go and defend themselves. And part of that communique that came out as well, that we will not go for another election based on the 1999 constitution. So that means what Koiki media have been saying, that we're not going to hold election, is now coming from those that a lot of probably Nigerians tend to listen to and believe or not believe. That is that. Let's go back to what Pastor Paul Adefarasi have said as well. He did talk about Nigerians should not even think about election based on the 1999 quote unquote fraudulent constitution. Again, this is coming from a kind of from the religious section of the country. So in terms of what Koiki have been saying for a very long time, why should we go for another election? When the situation on ground, we have the right to determine our fate. Their country is not bigger than Yoruba, and they are living, in a very beautiful environment, serene, well, being well taken care of. And let's talk about Estonia as an example. Estonia is about 2 million, and yet they are on the seat of the United Nations Security Council. The question is, where is Nigeria when it comes to those issues? So I still believe, and I have it at the back of my mind on a daily basis, that election of 2023 is not going to hold.
Thank you very much for that way you put it. And I just want to check. Oloye Sunday Igboho, I mean, let me just give like a little preamble to this so that we can now begin to chat about that. You know, there's this tactic they always employ at the SSS. And anytime they want to stop a particular agitation or movement, they just go for the leader, pick the leader. And, you know, the tactic is strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. You know, so whenever they want to stop a movement or an agitation, to silence people, they just pick the arrowhead. And when they did with Shore, comrades decided to multiply themselves in different forms and then went out again. So after a while, they saw that, oh, even though they picked Shore, people are still going out. Even they picked them on the 3rd in order to stop the August 5th rally. But the rally still took place, even while Shore was in detention. So meaning that the message went out that it is beyond Shore. Shore is just trying to be the face of it. All right. After they picked people, there were press conferences, there were further rallies, there were further agitations, there were further protests, there were further. So when they saw that it was more problem for them holding Shore, they felt like, oh, let's just leave the guy. And then they tried it with Nnamdi Kanu. Even though they sit at home, sometimes they say they relax it, and at other times they say, but they want to just see that everything settles by holding him down. And I remember I told a few persons who called me from abroad to say, oh, how about this Oloye Sunday Igboho? I said, well, I understand that they want to make sure that the noise about Oduduwa Nation goes down. That is why they picked him, or they tried to harass him. So the moment they did that and they saw that it is going down, they may not likely want him out any soon. So I feel, for me, I'm just saying, I feel, for instance, that there should be other people like coming out, doing more, so that they feel they can have the message that it is not about Oloye Sunday Igboho. It's just one of the faces. But the agitation is still there and people are still trooping out. In fact, that is the best way to get him out quickly. I'm just tipping off.
Well, you're quite right. And let me put this out, because a lot of people think that since and this is part of, again, the community.
No, I'm aware there is Nina's petition.
Well, that is not.
I'm also aware that there are other underground works going on.
No, I'm talking about the faces of people coming out. More people are still coming out. I mean, since Chief Sunday Igboho was being in Benin Republic, the July the 20th, more people have come out. Let's first remember that in the midst of everything, on the 3rd of July, people came out. This was less than 72 hours. Less than 72 hours before, the Lagos mega rally that incident happened on the 1st of July. So the morale could have gone completely down, right? But we saw that the morale was more boosted because Chief Sunday Igboho was not at that rally. I was not on that rally, even though I was on ground in Nigeria. But we were not on that rally, that fateful day. So that means that it is not about Chief Sunday Igboho alone. It is not about Koiki Media. It is not about, those Professor Banji Akitoye. It is about the Yorubas demanding for something that it is theirs. We are the indigenous owner of the land. And that is something that we must remember. We can go into for the background of those that might not understand. I'm sure you probably saw that. I paid a visit to where, Lugard was living before he died. And these are issues that we must talk about, that why are we doing what we are doing? So the Lagos mega rally that also had 49 people arrested, peaceful rally. We've been to all the other Yoruba states. I'm sure you saw the videos. It has never been violent. I mean, the crowd were marvelous. Yes, we might have issues in and out, but one thing is all the rallies that we've done from Offa, to Ogun State, even the smaller rallies, it has always been peaceful. But because the government knew that Chief Sunday Igboho coming to Lagos, I mean, Lagos. Lagos is the heartland of Nigeria. That itself will show the international community the kind of coverage that they've never seen before. You need to go and see, the Ekiti rally as an example, and you will understand what I'm talking about. So that means people came out in the midst of everything, and not just that alone, one person out of every state that we've been to was killed, and that was Jumoke Oyeleke. That shows that Lagos State government knew that our presence in Lagos would definitely make a big impact. So yes, you're quite right. Sowore has been, in Abuja for a very long time, and some of his followers in UK were making sure that the president visit was not comfortable for him. I'm sure you saw some of the videos. Constantly they were bringing police at the Nigerian High Commission in London, but eventually so that shows that the revolution that Sowore is fighting for, as an example, has never ended. Just like, as I said to you, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped. We please do not use the word arrest. He was kidnapped. Rendition is what took place, and that itself is a crime. Even America, as big as it is, will never go and kidnap somebody and bring them back. But that's a different story. But since Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was also kidnapped, all his followers in United Kingdom have been going to number 10 Downing Street on a daily protest. And that also had impact when Chief Sunday Igboho's house was picked as well, and 12 people were taken away until we have 8 of them back. So that means, yes, these are the faces that the government knows that they are the pusher, but that doesn't stop a movement, because a movement is not about one person, but we must have one bold person that will be the the front face of the movement, and that is why Chief Sunday Igboho has been a big target ever since his face came out, as somebody that believes, and he still believes it. And I will give probably a bit of that statement before the end of this program.
Okay, great. I mean, talking about your expectations, the events, and now. I'm coming to the last phase of that particular question now, which is the third tail of it. I mean, having witnessed the events that happened so far, if you were to plan another phase, what are the modifications you would suggest? Or if, let's say, for instance, another set of people want to come out and continue from where it has reached now, and they just want to push it forward, what are the modifications you'd like to advice that, okay, these are the things we did and we feel it can improve this way or that way?
Well, there's always areas to amend and areas to look into. I mean, like I said, I was in Nigeria for 6 good months, and in the midst of everything, I came back to UK in time for the June 12 peaceful rally that was going to take place, and I had to come back again in preparedness for the Lagos State mega rally until what took place at Chief Sunday Igboho's house. So moving forward, there are quite a lot of things that will change. We'll probably not be able to give as much on the online, but what I can say is there are more other ways that I have been able to sit back and review, after getting back and settling in now. Maybe we should have done this, maybe we should have hold on to that, or maybe we should have pushed a little bit more. But in terms of the awareness and the campaign, which we have not stopped. I mean, I was speaking to somebody in Australia yesterday, and it's quite interesting that on a daily basis, as much as, the message has not filtered through the whole part of Nigeria, but I can assure you that the segment part of Nigeria, every segment, all the 774 local government knows about, the Yoruba wants to go. They might not understand what it entails. If you say you want to go, I mean, am I going to go where? These are the questions, what happened to my money? We have people that have, some millions of naira. For those that have it in their bank account, what happened to that money? But let me not give a background to that. I mean, United Kingdom exit EU. I've lived here for over 2 decades, and I witnessed the whole incident. People talk about, wrangling amongst us and all this fighting, because these are not being shown on BBC and Sky News and ITV. They were fighting, real fighting. at the parliament where, during the time of the EU for and against, some wanted to leave EU, but some British wanted to stay behind. But what we have witnessed is there are more areas that we could touch more now than we were focusing on. But the message of the Yoruba nation continue regardless of whatever obstacle that we must have faced. And some of this obstacle, yes, probably brought a kind of, setback, but I can assure you, the millions of Yorubas around the world wants to wake up tomorrow into a nation of their own.
Good one. Before Oloye Sunday Igboho transited into talking about Yoruba nation now, it started by rising to the occasion of kidnapping, killing in the Southwest. And I remember the specific case of Professor Aborode, if I get the name correctly.
Yes, Dr. Aborode,
yes. And then, to an extent, he wanted to just make sure that he at least secure the Southwest for his people and push back against the aggressors or the invaders, until at the point he began to minister or breathe some kind of peace into Southwest. And a lot of people were so happy that, okay, where government failed, somebody is filling the void for us. And that was where people started giving him that acceptance, wide and far. Now that this has happened, how would you estimate the situation in the Southwest in terms of security? Would you say since the advent of the Yoruba nation agitation, and then the security of the Southwest, would you say now that Southwest is now more secure, or would you say, okay, since Oloye has been arrested, things started going back?
First and foremost, once again, thanks very much, for this opportunity. And I always love to put the date and the time, because for record purpose. So today's date is the 2nd of September, 2021. Is exactly 17 minutes past 3 p.m. One thing we've got to remember is, Chief Sunday Igboho coming out gave that conscious mind also that there's a problem. And what was the problem? The problem is we are already in danger. And just like I said, 48 hours ago, the Afenifere is now telling not just Yoruba, every Nigerians to go and I'm sure you read you've read that article, to go and defend their community. So what do you think has happened, in terms of whether Chief Sunday Igboho that came out at that right time, because that was a very, very right time. He could have sat on his own and say, I'm very comfortable. He says all the time, a million Fulani can never stop him. But what about that couple in Ekiti? As I speak to you right now, that there's a demand for 10 million naira on them. So what happened to them? They haven't got the money. Let's talk about, less than again, a couple of days ago in Koiki State, 3 church members were kidnapped. So yes, the security situation has not changed, and it will never change. 78 students were kidnapped from Zamfara. But what Chief Sunday Igboho as a person has done to Yoruba is to wake us up from that conscious mind, because we were all sleeping, thinking that, you could travel from Lagos, on a Saturday, to Ijebu-Ode or somewhere in Ogun State for your party, because, Ogun State will love the party. But now, if you're going to make that journey, you also have it at the back of your mind that there's tendency that kidnap might happen along that route. And that has been now the fear of so many people. The question then we should be asking is, what happened then to all the state governors? Because this is not just the job of Chief Sunday Igboho. These are governors, the first-class citizen. Allocation, security allocation is given to them. How would they defend and make sure that in every part of Nigeria, let's use Nigeria, as a conversation, are secured? You can see rather, most of the governors, especially in the north, as asking people to go and pray. We can't have terrorists that are now bold enough to upload their videos of their armory and their weapons. And you're asking me, that have been advising so many Yorubas to prepare for the war that is coming. As much as people might say, "Oh, we love you so much," but you can't continue to tell us, there's war coming. But now the social cultural pan group Afenifere is now telling us, go and defend your community. So Chief Sunday Igboho was a voice that we needed at that time. Professor Banji Akintoye have been talking about it, but Yorubas were probably like, these are professor, is probably not saying what we are saying. Showore was talking about it. It might not be in the way of, the attack, but he was talking about it from the revolution now that the system is collapsed. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was discussing it. We were like, oh, he doesn't like the Yorubas. And at the end of the day, that voice that we needed, that energy that we needed, arise, and that is Chief Sunday Igboho, and a lot of Yorubas woke up.
Into it.
Yes.
I remember a lot of people began to say, oh, Fulani is not any more of a threat to Olayomi Sunday Igboho, but his own Yoruba people, And after his arrest, the first time it was his former house that was burnt. Later, we started hearing of other attacks, and most of the people who actually criticized and even attacked or opposed him were the people he thought he wanted to liberate. More of. So now we started hearing that even the invasion of his house had some elements of, connivance with some Yoruba people. And then later we started hearing of, he was betrayed even up to the point of departure in Benin Republic. And all these fingers pointed at Yoruba, Yoruba, Yoruba. So a lot of people have been trying to use that as a talking point to say, you can't fight for Yoruba. But I want you to make a remark on that one. I mean, do you agree? Or do you
before I come into that, if you're okay with me, is a minute 3 seconds. This is what Fela Nicola Kukuti said, the legend himself. Let's hear that.
Okay. When you are revolutionary and you talk the truth, people will come and slap you down. Then you talk the truth again, they lock you in jail. Then when you are very strong and you talk again, they may kill you. They may even burn your house down.
Burn down your house like they did to me.
My house down at home. Now, when they burn my house finish, some friends who are very Africans know they are very afraid of life. Hey, fella, yourself, don't talk the truth again. You see, they come and tell you not to say the truth again. Then I tell them, I say, they never hear anything at all. Then go hear
pansa, pansa.
And that is, and I guess that just answer, the question. So yes, people might say, that, you know what he said to me in the midst of all that, because, I'm someone, as you know, very, very close with him. Yomi, mata. Let's talk about the millions of Yorubas that are in danger on a daily basis. And that is the kind of love he have for his people. I mean, this is somebody that is not worried about his own life. He's more concerned about, and this is what we call humanity. Humanity in us does not literally mean, somebody like you're doing an humanitarian work. If people do not know, you're talking, people might not agree with you all the time. But one thing is, it's not just the Yoruba tribe alone. Every tribe has their own issues. I just told you, go to when, it's just that, it has actually, UK is actually out now. But if I still go to central London today, I still have people that still want to go back to EU. They're still fighting for it. And also people come in and attack them there and say, no, we're not going back. We're out already. We're out. So that means, we must understand that we will have some Yorubas not literally the Yoruba in diaspora. We still have some Yorubas at home that believe that, you know, it's about leadership problem. It's about, the corrupt system. We can fix all those problems. But the genesis and the root of the problem, the genesis and the root of this problem is this amalgamation. And until we first make conversation on that, I was at the Tottenham Stadium on Sunday. You know, Tottenham Watford was playing. And I was looking at the stadium, all brought together, established in 1882. Think about it. Some of what we as Yoruba people have in 1882, if only we have continued on that genesis, I'm sure we would have been a top mark. But what happened is, 1914 amalgamation brought us into what we call a union. I don't want to use the word, people say when you're in a marriage, it is not, we're not in a marriage. It's just that we were forced together, and
marriage of inconvenience.
We are trying to say, if it's allowed, why not? So why should we continue, to be in this union that is not working? I'll come back again to you, but there's a question that I'll probably want to ask some of our viewers. I can see my brother there, Valo Joe, is out there, and I can see so many of you joining us. Please do share the program as well. And like I always say, thank you very much, for bringing me on board. So, but one thing we've got to always remember is, if we do not do it now, Nigeria itself is not the issue. The issue is we have been brought together, and that union of these, what even brought us together in 1960 as an independence that we got in 1960, that has already collapsed because it was a regional government. We are no longer in regional government. That means as a Yoruba man, we cannot have what, the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo was preparing for us. And that means from even what the former dethroned Emir Sanusi said, we have literally gone back 40 years behind schedule when we should literally be moving forward. And let me just give you a quick example. If truly a papa that is generating millions of naira dollars for Nigeria, and yet if I want to go to a papa now, you will have to think about it, because it's not just the gridlock, it's about the shenanigans that is happening there. And at the end of the day, this is in the Yoruba land, and we must say it belongs to us. Look, we can still have them using the port, but you'll have to pay for it if you have to use it. And these are issues. So yes, people say, Yoruba, no. It's not about the Yoruba. I am living in this country because people fought for it. And the reason why I have the kind of freedom and leverage, because everybody must have a leverage, but a system where students get picked up at random. As I speak to you today, university students are being picked up, and labeled, but they haven't got the leverage of the same people that fought some years back for the benefit of even the British citizen, not to talk of, those that came in, and joined them along the line.
Let me just assume, now this is assuming without conceding. And that is to say, yes, I agree that the 2023 election again will be a disaster. Yeah. But let us assume without conceding that the election therefore happens in 2023, and then maybe a lot of people boycott it because they do not trust the system, or they don't believe it will turn out to bring anything better. A lot of us, maybe for instance, assuming without conceding, boycott the election, we do not vote, and they still bring together their own people, their regular bought voters markets, and they still perpetuate it. Maybe this time, they now take Buhari away. Of course, he will have to leave at some point. They now bring maybe somebody who is now trying to make, maybe somebody comes in now, stops banditry, stops all those things we are complaining about, and everything looks normal.
How do you stop that? The question is, we have people that have agenda, and they want to complete that agenda. I mean, I've talked about this all the time. Okay, let's allow a Yoruba man as an example to be the next president. Then what happened after 8 years? Can he fix some of this damage that we are discussing here today? How do you change the mindset of those that do not have the same mindset with me? And according to one of our, I remember his name, Tolani, I'll see if I can remember that full name. He talked about that in 1,000 years, you cannot change the mind of a Fulani. 1,000 years, let's even say we've started that 1,000 years from my own fourth generation and probably the fifth generation. So that means in another 500 years, we cannot change this myopic thinking of what they have behind their head. Look at what is happening and playing out in Afghanistan. Can anyone think that 20 years, the Taliban were not going anywhere? They knew that they wanted what they want. And you can see the armory, the helicopter that the Americans left behind for them, even though they must have deactivated them. But from the news coming through, it seems they're already moving them to Iran to get them activated back. So that shows that their ideology cannot change. So we can't say I understand a lot of Nigerians, you love the country, you love the food, you love the culture and all that, but we can still be in a country of our own and enjoy that same facility. We can still, like I said, I have lived there and I have to respect the law of this country. I'm not using Nigerian law to live here. If I was using Nigerian law like so many people have done, they've arrived there, thinking they can drive without a full driver license and all that, you'd probably get into trouble. And yes, it's a system that have changed continuously as well. What happened in UK in 1998 when we do not have that automated system to detect within the vehicle that you are driving and the police behind you? But when they realized that there was more crime committed, people were dying. And that means that, if you don't have insurance on your vehicle, that eventually become a big problem. So what they've done is they did a survey, they changed the system. But rather than Nigeria to change the system, for 40 years, we've not even moved forward. And that means it is time now that Nigerians at home understand that this is not I'm not fighting the federal government. I don't have any issue with the federal government. I don't have issue with the politicians, but I have issue with them, especially the Yorubas that refuse to speak and let us understand that we are Yorubas before Nigeria. And this is the question I would like to put out there. What is the culture of Nigeria? What is the language of Nigeria? Who created Nigeria education? Who created Nigeria? If I can get a full answer to this, then I will understand where we are. But as a Yoruba man, I know my culture. I know my language. And all these have been in existence. We have been running a full-blown city and rural area before the colonial master came in the 1884. But because history has been taken away, I understand again, a lot of Nigerians think, okay, let us manage it, let us fix it. You cannot fix something that has rotten. And the only way out is you can go and do another election in 2023. It's not going to resolve the problem. And this is not about bringing a Yoruba man or somebody else. But we do know that a particular tribe, the Fulani in Nigeria, backed by the international community, have planned this system in place. And let me put this before I come back again to you. There's a guy called Smith. We now knew what happened in 1959. What happened in 1959? The North never won the election. They don't have the population. But they are telling me, and this is what Pastor Paul Adefarasi said as well in one of his conversations in his sermon, that in the South, where we have the water, the ocean, and by the time you move up, where it's got dry, they have the numbers. The reason why, they are more interested and they were able to take more atrocity on Yoruba, in our territory, was the Atlantic Ocean that we have. And there's a lot that we still have, but because a lot of people think that, as a student or I was listening to, channels, and they were discussing about the liquefied gas. And you could hear that, again, it's just so many issues. Every tribe should go and develop. And then if I want to live in the North, I don't need a visa. You probably not. We won't need a visa, but there will be a kind of a system in place. Then I can stay there and I'll respect their law. If they tell me you cannot do piggery, I would know that I don't have to do piggery business, but I can bring it down to the Southwest. So it's not about 2023. It is not about 2023. It's about the next generation that must not go through what we are discussing again.
Well, a thought was put forward just recently that whether we agree with the Northerners or not, that the Fulanis are foreigners. They are aliens in Nigeria, that they were brought in for a purpose, all right? So that they are only enjoying the backing of the person at the apex as we speak right now. That the moment that one is pushed out or expires, we'll be able to know how to handle that situation. Yes, you said you already touched it, that repairing all those damages will not be easy, right? But then don't you think, yes, as we speak right now, we are still Nigerians, and the north is part of Nigeria. The north is currently being ravaged by these so-called aliens who are Fulanis, who are not even Nigerians. So there is a thought that why not first let's rescue our country collectively? Yes, like the north is still part of Nigeria for now. And then at least if we rescue the whole country from these aliens altogether, first of all, we may then come back to start tinkering with, okay, like for instance, I've identified a very major issue, which is the 1999 Constitution. If we can work on that Constitution, the people who are still ruling this country and making it the way it is right now.
Let's not be mistaken. You can't work on that Constitution.
Let me land. I'm bringing it somewhere. I'm only putting forward a particular thought before I use it to frame a question. That if we can work on, even till now, the people who have been ruling since are still the people there. They were in the military, they came back in Agbada, and they are still there. That it is because we have not really had government that is really for the people at any time in history that we are still where we are. That if we can try to take their constitution, destroy it, chase them out, and have a good government, we can have a government that has a constitution that respects your rights to even self-determination without being invaded at home midnight or killed or sent out or attacked or whatever. And then we'll be able to have a peaceful negotiation of our union. We never had it. And that if we can at least first take out all those people who are the owners of Nigeria PLC, it will be easy for us to attain a nationhood that has terms of union. What is your thoughts about that? Would you not think that could be a more strategic and better way that is rather peaceful than this one? Isn't it? Could that be part of the lessons you might want to look at?
What we have at the moment, in terms, and I do, get your point, and every details of what you've mentioned. For very long time, people were asking and demanding the country needs to be restructured, and they failed. Even this government came in on that leverage. Oh, we will allow the restructure of this country, but now that was not allowed. But my focus is, how do you take off, review and bring in a constitution that would then eventually work for every single one of us? That constitution that you've just talked about is also one big problem. It's a military decree. And that constitution, it doesn't matter how they try to amend and review, that constitution, it's not going to work. Even when people were demanding that let's go back to 1963 Constitution, they refused. Do you know why? Because those constitutions in 1960 and 63 will give us that leverage to now come back and demand what we are asking for now. So moving forward, let us save the country. The country cannot be saved. There's nothing to save in Nigeria anymore. I understand, like I said, a lot of Nigerians that we, that have, these, green, white, green, and this is what we've been told from the early age of our lives, and this is still having a confusion with a lot of diaspora as well, with their parents that, what are you talking about Biafra, Yoruba nation, we are Nigerians, but they are looking at Nigeria from that, maybe their favorite artist, they are looking at Nigeria from that, blown, weather. But what I forgot to understand is those weather is in the indigenous territory of our land. So that means, the weather that you're talking about. I mean, if I come to Nigeria and people say, "Oh, I love the weather," yeah, I mean, Yoruba land, that's the weather. So what is the essence of it? But I want to be in a land or a nation that I'm also respected. So there is far beyond those nitty gritty that we are discussing, let's change the constitution, let's amend it, let's review it. This is far beyond that. We are now talking about the indigenous owner of the land. We are the indigenous owner of the land. That doesn't mean that, look, in UK, we have all kind of different ethnic nationality that are living here. In my building, the next person there is not even anywhere from Nigeria. And we are living side by side and we respect each other. I know that, if I'm doing a program like this in the night, I know how to control the sound because I do not want to disturb my neighbor. I don't have to be told. So the issue is our culture is going into extinction. Our language is going into extinction because the more we are trying to save, which is what you've just said, let us save Nigeria, and then maybe when this government goes, we have a government that will be loyal, that will do whatever we want. This is not about fixing the Songwater Road that I just saw the governor visited after how many months. So it seems now they are following what is happening on social media. Do you know that the JAM, I'm sure you probably read that, JAM is not talking about cutoff mark, and I'm thinking, wow. So when someone that have 180 in Lagos State is not allowed to get into Unilag, but the guy from the north that have 180 is allowed into that same Unilag as a Yoruba man or Yoruba boy, I'm not allowed into Obafemi Awolowo University. So that again are part of the reason why we must go. And so it's more bigger than that picture of, oh, let's save Nigeria. Let's go into 2023 and then we can start resolving some of this problem. I would rather want to be in a smaller nation than the most populous nation that is not working. I don't want to use some of the language that I use on my platform, but what I'm trying to say is these are issues that I want to resolve as quickly as possible because my parents did not fight it. And the reason why is, the fear of the unknown. And a lot of people have died of that fear of the unknown in Nigeria today, trying to save Nigeria. I was looking at a picture, I don't know how I can verify that, of the late Rashidi Yekini, mother selling, all this petty, food stuff. And I'm thinking, Rashidi Yekini, that is a name that, rings bell to any Yoruba man. Is it the kind of energy he has when he's on the field, on that football pitch? The mother should not even be selling anything. But again, Rashidi Yekini died trying to work with Nigeria, but Nigeria never remember the family left behind. The question then to a lot of Nigerians is, can Nigeria truly save you should anything happen to you?
Would you applaud the recent decision by southern governors to ban open grazing? Is this something you can at least applaud or appreciate? Or
I love it.
Or do you think it's just a smoke screen as usual?
Let's leave the smoke screen alone. Let's see the test. I've seen that cows are now being detained. What is going to be the reaction of it in Akure? We can't in 21st century have, again, like I said, if they want to do that business on the Yoruba land territory, you must do what we call ranching. You must have a place where these animals are fed and these animals are well taken care of. But yes, whether it's a small screen, some of them have not signed it. And I'm looking to Lagos State, and I know Lagos is not going to sign it anytime soon. So,
why do you think so?
But I'm looking at the other state. I think Enugu have signed it as well. So let's give kudos to Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. I think Ogun State. I'm not sure whether Ogun State have signed it as well. So those states that have signed it, let's give kudos to them, even if they're still playing politics or they're trying to please some of their political parties. But again, like I said, time will tell. But the more we are pushing into, let me give a background of where we are when it comes to, because I've got the counter on my page, and the counter here says we are just literally 526 days, 9 hours, 15 minutes, and the seconds goes down before I say Yoruba Nation now, no election Nigeria to come 2023.
All right. Initially it was said that many Obas or royal fathers in Nigeria, in Yoruba land, did not support Sunday Igboho, even though most of them said they supported him, but they could not come out open to say it. And then now it is deemed that at least whilst Olayomi Sunday Igboho is currently in a in a facility at Benin Republic, I mean, we heard that the Oni of Ife sent a team to intervene and all that. What is it like? How many supports are you getting from prominent Yorubas to make sure that this doesn't go the way the federal government wanted Olayomi Sunday Igboho to be punished? And what are the chances that eventually it would not be used to settle a score between Nigeria and Benin Republic? You remember that Benin Republic is looking for Nigeria to open border because it's affecting their economy and affecting their export and all that. What is the rate? I mean, in percentage terms, the chance of making sure that, how sure are you, what the percentage level of confidence you have that eventually Olayomi Sunday Igboho will not be used to settle score between Nigeria and Benin Republic as it stands right now?
Well, first and foremost, let me assure us that Chief Sunday Igboho is not going to be returned, to the federal government by Beninese government. That's for sure. Apart from there is no treaty between the government of Benin and Nigeria. Yes, I mean, Benin is not up to Lagos State, so Benin would definitely want, a kind of a leverage with because the situation is now something of interest. At the beginning, they might not understand, the importance of who this person is. But I'm sure, by the time after a few days and weeks, looking back to the background, they can understand that, wow, like you said, this is the big fish. Can we then negotiate, Chief Sunday Igboho, with the Nigerian government? That will first give Benin on the international, forum a bad image. Kenya, as you see, is already having that already. They might not tell you all these in Nigeria, but these are issues that Kenya is facing at the moment for the rendition and the kidnap of Nnamdi Kanu. So Benin is already following and watching all this carefully. As much as they might want, whatever arrangement with the federal government, but one thing is, Nigerian government have tortured Benin Republic prior to this. So Benin might also say, well, since you thought you could bully us, close the border in the Yoruba land, open the border in the north, in Castina, the president's state, and they're moving in goods, weapons, and everything coming through. But the one that is closer to us in the southwest were all shut down for a very long time. So what I can tell you is, what are the royal fathers, the monarch, in terms of what you said? Let's give kudos to the royal monarch in Benin Republic first, because they understand again the importance of the Yorubas. So they stood their ground. And the difference between Nigeria and Benin is the culture, the tradition is still very, very valuable. So the president in Benin understand, that already. And since the monarch and the traditional rulers in Benin Republic have said Chief Sunday Igboho Omowani is our son, that have also put a kind of okay, who is he? Omowani Bawo is a Yoruba man. What is he fighting for? He hasn't taken any harms against the government. This is not something that there's an evidence base to say, oh, we have taken harms against the government, and yet the government is running after his life. So that means that safety of where he is at the moment is the reason why the country would also have to be careful. So in terms of our royal monarch at home, oh yes, we have been getting those support. Some of them might not speak out because we understand the situation, but most of them are giving their backing, and that's all I can tell you.
Okay, one last question for now. I mean, I'm sure that subsequently we'll come back again to continue to have this kind of conversation, like exploring the beauty and the values of the Yoruba culture, tradition, and the rest of them. But one last one for now. I mean, this is just on a lighter note. On a lighter note, you know, a lot of people say, Koiki came from Europe, came to join Oloye Sunday Igboho. So what am I saying? You know, like, and I've also heard you saying lately, advising people to go and prepare and look baradi and look everything, whatever you know you can do to make sure that you get yourself fortified. You know, what exactly are you advising? What are you, a Christian or a Muslim, first of all?
I believe in everything.
Everything, okay. So what advice, what specific
I mean,
advice
you know, the point is we've got to understand that, again, this is still part of our culture. So when you tell people Elok Baradi, people kind of like, okay, but I'm sure a lot of us, you know, at some point in our life as we were growing up, was Singbere for. So that means, you know, there's nothing big in that. But now, when you also go and do 7-day fasting, you know, so it's just again a kind of a safety for your own inner self. So, and as Yoruba people, we believe in our culture and we also believe in our tradition, just as the Christian believes in their Bible and they believe in, you know, whatever they believe in. And the same thing goes to the Muslims. So when I tell people Kolok Baradi, it's not a big deal. Kolok Baradi, Elodira, because the unknown. Yes, you know, and you can see the DSS presenting, you know, those images, making it look to Nigerians as, oh, you know, it's a crime to have these things in the house. You know, it's not a big deal. But one thing is, the situation is getting bad. I'll still go back to Afedi Ferry says, if people need to go and defend themselves, I mean, we're not telling people to carry arms, but you have to still go and defend yourself so that you are becoming more vigilant to your surrounding. And before I go, you know, there's a something that we say in UK: see it, say it, sorted. So when you see it, you have to say it. Maybe call Object TV, let them go and capture it, then we can sort it out. But if you see it and you don't, or if you see it and you don't, you know, there's a vehicle parked there, you're thinking, okay, there's nothing wrong in that vehicle, and you realize that the next day, you know, something happened. A lot of people see things, but because we are living in a country where 87 million Nigerians are living in abject poverty, the poverty capital of the world is Nigeria. So that means people are more concerned about Kinimufeje than looking at the environment. And each time I come to Nigeria since 2015, I'm more conscious of my environment because I want to see it, say it quickly so that we can get it sorted out.
Thank you so much, Olayomi Koiki. It's been a fantastic time with you. We'll continue this conversation, but what I just did with that last question is to broach another category of topic, which is exploring the values, culture, traditions, and the beauty of all of this together in the Yoruba cosmology. Thank you so much. And then when next we come together, I'll start going into all of that and other matters arising. This has been fantastic time with you. And everybody who joined us, we want to say thank you very much, everybody. Bye for now.